Vi är distributörer utav Autodesk produkter i Europa bland annat. Så jag kommer från Stockholm. Vårt huvudkontor är i Finland, i Helsingfors. Och sen har vi små kontor i Göteborg, vi har i Danmark, i England och Frankrike också. Och på Future Group så är jag teknikansvarig och jag spenderar jättemycket tid med Fusion360 just nu. Och tidigare jobbat mycket med Inventor också. Och även med andra CAD CAM-system. Yes?
Is there any chance you could do it in English?
No, yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Pratar inte svenska.
Okay, good. Is that okay with everyone? Perfect. Good. So let's run in English. This is 1 hour. And if you have any questions or any comments, please just speak out because it's your hour. I heard it before, so you should be happy. Good. Just to give you a little bit of background, what I'm doing when I'm not at work. I said I spend a lot of time with Fusion at work, but also in my spare time. So I play around with model airplanes, small ones and also big ones. And I like to design them in a CAD software and also produce them with a CAM software and a CNC machine. So that's where I use Fusion. Also, I do a lot of design work. I have a friend who designed kayaks, and I help him to do some surface modeling and also do some prototypes for it. And my wife works as a model builder, building architecture models. So sometimes I help her to machine small model cars or something for her work. Also, if I should build something at home, like this garage for my old tractor I built last summer, then I start to build it in the CAD software, and that is a fully parametric model. So if I modify the length of the garage, it recalculates all the wooden pieces for me. So that is also a good example of what you can do in Fusion. And yeah, I built my own CNC machines, so this is my largest one at the moment. And then this small one, I have it actually here, so you can look at it after this presentation. And it is fully designed in Fusion and also produced in this machine with Fusion. And I can also program it and run it with Fusion. So it's Fusion, Fusion, Fusion. That's very good. It took me about 4 weeks when I started to design it until it's in this state that it is today. So it's quite nice. So it will be a mix of my hobby projects and also a mix of my professional work. Before I started work at Future Group 2 years ago, I worked together with Delcam software. I've been an application engineer for Delcam CAD CAM software for 10 years. And also working with Delcam software at Noble Bicare, a dental company, for 7 years. And here I produced CAM automation software to program 5-axis milling machines. So a lot of milling and CAD is what I'm doing. Okay, that's my background. Fusion360, what is that? So to make it very easy for me, I will start up with a video directly from Autodesk website. So let me click on this one and run it. Takes about a minute.
What is Fusion360? Is it a cloud-enabled collaboration platform that enables designers to instantly share, review project data, manage versions, find where to use, and share ideas on any device at any time? Is it a 3D CAM application with both freeform and solid modeling tools seamlessly integrated into one application? Is it a 3D animation and rendering application? Is it the first cloud-enabled tool to provide 2D drawing capabilities? Is it simulation software? Or is it a CAM application for turning and milling operations? This is what you need to know about Fusion360. It's not any one of those things. It's all of those things. It's the next generation product innovation platform designed to work on Mac, PC, and mobile devices. So come on, what are you waiting for? Try Fusion360 today.
I really like this video. It says everything about Fusion. And it also says it's the next generation product innovation platform, and that is what I believe. It's really the future. And it's really nice to be here today. And when I talk to you, a lot of you guys are using Fusion 360 already. So maybe we can raise your hands. How many of you are using Fusion 360? Yeah, quite a lot of you. So that's really, really good. And how many bought it? None. Okay. But I think that's good. If Autodesk can give it away for free, it's excellent. I think that's really good. So, Fusion 360 in an excellent CAD and CAM software. But for me, Fusion is not the same as Fusion 360. So for you, maybe Fusion and Fusion 360 is the same, but for me, it's totally different. So Fusion 360, that is the CAD and CAM software. But Fusion is the platform in the cloud. So everything Autodesk does in the cloud, that's part of the Fusion family. So what I mean by that is what you can see here on the bottom. We have a software called Fusion Lifecycle. That's a PLM software, also working in the cloud. If you're familiar with the Autodesk Inventor and the Vault system that can handle revision and handle documentation for design, Fusion Lifecycle can do the same, but in the cloud. So Fusion Lifecycle will be it will be very important for Fusion 360 in the future. Fusion Team, yeah, that is a platform to share documentation within the development team on the web. And Fusion Connect, that is if we have devices like Internet of Things, small devices on machines that produce information that will be pushed out up in the cloud, that could be handled by the Fusion Connect. And then we also have the Autodesk Drive, that is a Dropbox or something like that. That is also part of Fusion family. And this is more or less for the MFG or for the manufacturing area, but we have exactly the same for the AEC or building products as well. But it is in the cloud. And to handle all information we have in the big database in the cloud, we have the Forge platform. And the Forge platform is a developer platform. So anyone can buy the Forge development platform and create a solution in the cloud. So if I design something in Fusion 360 and push it up to the cloud, then the Forge platform also have access to all that data. So let us say that we use Revit from Autodesk and produce a building with all the information of ventilation, windows, doors, and everything like that. Then the Forge platform, we can create an application in Forge to select information from the database in the cloud and show whatever we would like to show. So if you go into the Forge website, you can see quite some example how to customize things. So that's excellent if you're a programmer and would like to do some work. Good. So we have the Fusion platform, and in Fusion 360 we have the design part inside Fusion, as you know. We have the make part in Fusion 360, and that is for CNC machining and turning machines, and also 3D printing support. And we also have the use part, and the use part, that is Internet of Things. That is not launched in Europe at this moment. We're running it in the US at the moment, but it will be pushed in Europe very soon, I think. I can also mention that Autodesk hasn't started yet with the marketing of Fusion 360 in Europe. So a lot of people know about Fusion 360 in Europe, but we haven't started yet. So we will push quite hard within this year, I think, for Fusion 360. An example for that is that An Autodesk employee salesman in US, he's only measured on Fusion 360 licenses, the number of Fusion 360 licenses that is sold. That's not the case in Sweden yet, but it will be, I'm 100% sure. And that will change the market completely, I think, because of the price of Fusion 360. So we have the complete solution, design, make, and use. And in the design area, we also have the generative design. That's included in Fusion 360. So you can, that's a completely new way of designing, I would say. If you have a design and you can add your forces on that design, and then the system can automatically remove material that is not needed. And that is an excellent way of designing software, that the software itself designing the product. And that is kind of mindset that Autodesk has. The software should do the design, not the designer, or at least they should work together. The same with the CAM solution. The CAM solution should in the future make decisions for you. So you should not only decide what you would like to do. The system should be able to give you a proposal how you should machine something. So that's good. For the make part, we have support for 3D printing. And that is obviously also what Autodesk did when they bought NetFab. NetFab is really, really good for industrial additive manufacturing. And I'm also quite sure that we will see parts of NetFab inside Fusion in the future. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that, but I think that will happen. Yes?
It's already there.
Yeah, part of it is already there. Yeah, I know. But when I talk to NetFab, the department of NetFab at Autodesk, they tell me it's not there, but I can see it. It is there, yeah. And it will happen. And I think NetFab is one of the big software for industrial additive manufacturing to do simulation in metallic printing and stuff like that. And Internet of Things, of course, to connect machines into the cloud as well, in that information. And that could be, if you have a machine, the machine could produce a lot of information to the cloud about the condition of the machine. So that could be used for service of the machine or something like that. So you know that the machine is on its way to worn out, or so you not only get the information when it breaks down. And that could save a lot of money, of course, in production. Another good thing with Fusion 360 is that it doesn't matter what kind of platform you're working on. If it's a PC, Mac, or a tablet, or mobile phone, it's possible to use the same data because it's pushed up in the cloud. And that's nice, I think, and I hope you think it as well. And really, in a really short time, we will also see that it will be a version of Fusion 360 in the web browser. It has been for a couple of years as a beta project, but it will now be released to every one of you. So you can start your job in the mobile phone and make some basic designs. And then it will be stored in the cloud and you can continue to work in a PC or Mac. So that's good. But it will not be full functionality in the mobile phone or a tablet, but part of it. Yeah, access anywhere because the data is in the cloud, of course. And as you know, we have 3D modeling, solid modeling, surface modeling, and T-spline modeling. So T-spline modeling is from 3D Studio Max from the beginning. Is there anyone using T-splines here? Yeah, good. I'm not doing it. I'm not too good at it. Okay. Surface modeling, we say that we have that, but it's not like Alias or Class A surface modeling. So it is surface modeling for some design work, but not for perfect surfacing, because that is that is something else, of course. 2D drawings, and at the moment we're working really intense to make the 2D drawing better. We still miss a lot of stuff in the 2D drawing area, like bill of material and stuff like that. So at the moment, Inventor is much stronger in the drawing area. But also, if we compare development in Fusion 360 and Inventor, it's about 40 developers at Autodesk working only with the drawing section. And in Inventor, we have about 2 developers at the moment. So it's a huge difference of the amount of work we put into the software. Project collaboration. Yeah, as you know, you can start a review of your work in the browser if you're inside Fusion. So you can share the information with just anyone without a license also. And that person could do comments and highlight some areas in the model for you. Simulation, that is really interesting for finita element simulation. Do strength test of your design. And already today, we have more power in Fusion 360 than we have in Inventor, because the Nastran InCAD that you have to buy as an add-on for for Inventor, part of it is included in Fusion 360. So that's really generous from Autodesk to include it in Fusion 360. The CAM part, 3 and 3+2 and 5-axis milling, and also turning. It is a really, really good CAM package inside Fusion 360. And it is exactly the same CAM package as we have to Inventor, the Inventor HSM or HSM Works for SolidWorks. It's the same module. So that's really good. And I work a lot with the CAM. I spent this week 2 or 3 days with the customer to connect new machines to Fusion with post-processor and things like that. And I do it every week. So there's a lot of things happening on the CAM side. But we have a problem with the CAM side because it's so cheap. So when I do demonstration for a big company with Fusion 360 and tell them what the price is, they really don't understand why it's so cheap. They are used to buy CAM software maybe for 100,000 Swedish crowns or maybe the double. And then when we say we need only 4,000 Swedish crowns for a year, they don't believe us. They want to pay more. But that's an option to pay more, but you will get the same. We have 3D print support, and by that I mean we can send the data to Print Studio or to Mesh Mixer. We can do some, we can repair some STL files inside Fusion. I will show that as well. But maybe in the future we will see more functionality from NetFab inside Fusion. And of course we have rendering as well to do some product rendering. And that could be done in the cloud or locally in your computer. Good. And obviously, you told me already you're already a user of Fusion 360. And if you're not, you can download it for free on Autodesk website. You just sign up that you're running a startup company or you're a hobbyist or enthusiast. And the only limit is that you're not allowed to earn more than $100,000 US. But up to that limit, it's for free. At the moment, maybe I should add, but there's no indication for Autodesk that this will be changed, but you never know. The license runs for 1 year, and you're allowed to extend it after that year to 1 more year. So there's no limit. So that's good. So that's all about PowerPoint. So let me change to the software instead. That's more funny. And I think it could be good that I made some example what I done, and also that I do some work in Fusion. And if you have any comments or questions, please ask me. And yes.
What about working in the airplane also if it's all cloud connected?
Sorry.
With the PC version, can you still work offline in the airplane or something?
Yes, absolutely. So because the software is installed in your client or in your computer, what happens, we say it is a cloud-based software, but that's a good marketing trick. But when you do work, it will be saved locally and then pushed up to the cloud. So the only difference is if you're connected to internet, when you save it, it will create a new version. But if you are not connected to internet, it will still save it locally, but it will be the same version. If you save it 10 times locally, it will be saved as one new version to the cloud. But you can still work locally. And it will also save the last couple of files locally in your computer. So you always have some of your files in the computer when you're disconnected. Yes?
When you say it's setting as a version, can you go back?
Yes, yes,
All the way, or
yes.
start deleting by time?
Yeah, you can go back to just any version.
Okay.
So for this model, I think it's 200 versions or something. Maybe not this one because I made a copy this morning, but the original one is 200 versions. And I just have to go to the internet, to the Autodesk 360, and then I can promote just any version. And I can create a branch as well. So that's really good. Yeah, because sometimes you mess things up, at least I do, and then it's good to go back. Good. So this is the CNC machine I have outside here. So I made a model of it inside Fusion. And my intention from the beginning was to create an assembly model with a lot of components, just to see when Fusion slows down too much. I would like to see the difference between Fusion and Inventor, because Inventor can handle much more components at the same time. But this model is, I can move the x-axis, the z-axis, and also the y-axis in this model. And I can also, of course, set up limits for the linear axis like this. And also I can open and close the door like this, and also in the back open up here to look at the controller. So I try to put as much as possible in this model. And yes, with all the screws and everything, it is a little bit slow to run, especially if I go back in time to the first thing I did, then it slows down a little bit, but it's working pretty good. So I will start to do the back plate again from scratch. So this plate right here. So let me create a new model here, like this. So now I have absolutely nothing in Fusion. And for my help, I have a sheet here, for my dimensions. So I will start with a sketch, because everything in Fusion is based on a sketch, at least when I do in the model section here. So I create a sketch, and I have to decide on what plane I would like to place the sketch. So I put it on the X and Z plane. And the origin is there with a small center point. So I would like to create a rectangle. So under the sketch tool, I create a rectangle from this point to that point. So that's good. And now you should look at this rectangle. You can see this is a black line and this is a blue line, and everything counts. So if you see something that has different colors or some kind of markup, it means something. So if it is a black line, it means it has constraints because it's fixed to this point here, because I clicked on that point in the beginning. So if I create a rectangle just anywhere, you can see it has all blue lines. Then it would be possible to move it around. So let me undo that second one, and I will put a length into this line here. So in the sketch tool I have the dimension. I'm blind. There it is, sketch dimension. Select this line and let me say it should be 352. And this one should be maybe 280. Like that. Okay. And then we can see that the blue lines are gone because it's fully constrained. Good. On the top, I would like to have a handle. So that should be a rectangle. So let me do it like this. And let's say it should be 87. And this one should be 44, maybe, like that. Good. It's still all blue because it's not fixed in the X and Y, just the dimension of the rectangle. So I would like to place it in the center of this product, or the center of the first rectangle. So I press L for line and put a line here. Do the same here, just a line there and there. And then I can use the constraints to say it should be equal. So this line and that line should be equal, and then it will be centered. You can do this in many ways, but this is one way to do it. So just to show you that it works, I changed this one to 110, and it's still centered. So that works. And then I also would like to place it with a distance from the top here, maybe 21, like that. Good. And I should just add some circle. It should be circle here, maybe a diameter of 5 millimeter. And as you can see, I use a lot of shortcuts. C for circle, D for dimensions, and maybe the best is the shortcut for the S for the pop-up menu. So when I'm inside the sketch tool and press S, the sketch toolbox will pop up. And if I search for a command, let's say I search for line, I already have the line command up here, but like for the cylinder, then I can click on the cylinder here, and then it will show up in the quick toolbox here. So I can customize my toolbox. Good. So the circle, and it should be maybe 129. Maybe it should be, yeah, it doesn't matter how far from the edge, just need to do an array. And I would like to have maybe 5 circles with 60 millimeter in the between. Something like that. Okay. And then I can click Stop Sketch and then extrude it. Or I can click on Extrude directly. So if I click on Extrude directly, I will save a mouse click. That's good. And click on this area. And as you can see, as quick as you have a closed area, it will be kind of gelish. And then it could be extruded. So let me do it 20 millimeter, like that. Good. And when I do the extrusion, I have a selection. Let me undo this and extrude again. 20 millimeter. You can see here, I can create it as a new body. And the body is a solid. And that one, the solid, is related to the coordinate system in the CAD world. So that the solid is fixed in location. If I create it as a new component, then it will be free in the CAD world. So that is If I should compare it to Inventor, it is like a part file or it's an assembly file. In Fusion, we have no part file or assembly file. It's all the same. But a good rule is if you should create a lot of components, do it directly. Don't create the body first and then a component. Create a component directly. So here I create a component. Okay. And then you can see I can move it around like this. And if I turn on the sketch, you can see easy that I move it away from the sketch. But it still has a relationship to the sketch. So even if it's not located at the same place, if I modify the sketch, it will modify the component. So that's very good, I think. Also, it could be good to fix the first component to the CAD model. So let me create a joint. So maybe I would like to select this surface. You can do this in two ways. Either I click on the surface and then click on the position, or I click with the control button. Then it selects the surface. It does the same, but in a different way. So that's the position of the component. And then I would like to fix it to the CAD 0 point, like that. And it is a rigid joint. So now that one is fixed. And you should joint it to the coordinate system. You should not use the ground command for the first component. That is, it's doing similar things, but it's not the right thing. It's not the right way.
Downside of using grounding.
Sorry?
What's the downside of using grounding?
Yeah, it could mess things up in the future. So it's not a good thing to do it. You should do a joint to the 0 point or some point. That's the correct way to do it. I can't exactly tell you what will happen, but it could mess things up. So this is a component designed here, and it's no problem to create 100 components similar to this with sketches. But I will show you another way, because this is part of my CNC machine, and maybe I would like to add a linear rail here with a joint. And that is a standard component that I bought or also downloaded from internet. And to download something from internet, yeah, you can go to GrabCAD, that's excellent, or some other place, producer of the part. So this is a Hivin rail, 210 millimeter long, and there's an upload bottom in your project file here. So if I click on the upload, then you can just drag and drop your step file, IGES file, or whatever you find, SolidWorks file or Inventor file. And it will upload the file into your project file. So it could be, you could work like designing everything inside Fusion, or you can download files into your project folder. And then if I save my file as a test, maybe, like that. I think 90% of my files is called test or something. When it's saved, I can right-click on my rail I have downloaded and say insert into current design. And it will be placed somewhere. I can move it around with those arrows, and I can rotate it as well. It is a new component, and I say OK. And then we can say there's a link here. And that means it is a linked component. So if I open up the rail file and modify it, it will also be modified inside this model. So if you use it correctly, it's really powerful. If you use it incorrectly, it could mess up 100 files if you used the file in 100 constructions. But this is not doesn't have any fixed position because it's a component. So now I need to create a joint as well for this one. So I create a joint and I select the position of the component I would like to mow first. So I would like to mow this rails from this point, and maybe it should be located in that point, like that. You can animate it again if you would like to see it, if it's fixed or what kind of... Never stops. Good. And in the same way you can create joints for rigid, revolute and slider, etc. And if you don't understand how it works, when you come home, use Google, YouTube. You will find a ton of videos explaining everything. So that's good. And I can continue to add the rails, the slider, what do you call it? Oh. Another component that could slide on these rails, but I don't do that because I have a lot of things I would like to show you. Good. Any questions so far? No? Does it look good? Yeah. Okay. Good. So let me change to something completely different. I have an Xbox at home, the Xbox Kinect sensor. I never played Xbox, but I have the sensor. And I bought a piece of software called Reconstruct Me. And that could handle the Xbox and convert it into a 3D scanner. It's not the best 3D scanner in the world, but it does scan work pretty good. So this is my friend Patrick. He's my assistant today. And if I look at this CAD file or mesh, it has some triangles on the inside. He's a little bit, yeah, he has a hole in his head and a lot of other holes because he was sitting in a chair rotating 360 and the scanner was positioned in a fixed position. So some areas we couldn't scan in that direction. When I worked with Delcam software, we had a software called Copycad that was excellent for repairing STL files for reverse engineering. And to convert this file into a perfect tight STL file, I think I would need 4 or 5 hours or something like that to fix it. So even if it looks nice, it could be a nightmare to fix it. But in Fusion, there is a mesh area here. And you can see, sometimes you can see things in this list and sometimes you can't. And that depends on if you turn on or turn off the history when you do the modeling work in Fusion. So sometimes you need to turn the model history off to see functionality here. That could be a trick. But I switch to the mesh. And then I have at least some mesh tools here. And I would like to, first of all, create a plane cut. So I have to select the mesh I would like to cut. And I also need to select a plane for the cutting. And I would like to use this X and Y plane. Maybe like that. And as you can see, it's a little bit slower than when we're working with solid or components. And that's because the mesh is a lot of small triangles. So I just drag this to a decent level. And then I say I would like to cut it. And yes, it cuts it, but it's in a nasty position. It's not straight off. I'm still missing some areas here. But I would like to take this nasty model to create a closed model, closed mesh. So this mesh, okay, I use the default setting. And now it needs a few seconds, maybe half a minute, and do the calculation, and then I will have a totally perfect tight model. So that's beautiful, I think. And when Fusion 360 turns black here, yeah, then it's time for a coffee break or something like that. Something is happening in the background, but it will come back. Yeah, there we are. So we can see it filled the top, and also it filled the bottom. So now it would be possible to 3D print it. Maybe I would like to have a nicer bottom, but at least it's valid for 3D printing. It's not perfect. If I go back to the model section here, there is a make bottom in Fusion, and it says 3D print. And what it does is, if I select the mesh, I can select what I would like to do with it. I can send it to Mesh Mixer or Print Studio or Cura or something. But it will export the STL file, and then it will be imported directly to the software I selected. Unfortunately, there is a problem with this functionality at the moment. We had an update of Fusion yesterday, I think. And with that update, I'm struggling a little bit to send it to the software. But I think if I select the mesh and wait a few seconds and then click OK, hopefully it works. No, it doesn't. OK, sorry, I apologize for that. It will be a fix for it if it's a problem, I'm sure. And it will most likely be a quiet fix. So Autodesk will just push an update to Fusion without my knowledge. Good. So let me close this file and don't save it. Another thing we can do in Fusion 360 is simulation. So if I have a model like this, this is another CNC machine I built at home. And this machine is larger. This table is 1.5 meters and this is 800 millimeters. And I didn't want to spend too much money on this one. So I have a ball screw in this back end of the machine. And here it's just running free on the rails. So if I grab here, of course it's not perfectly stable. But is it good enough or not? I don't know. I thought for a long period this beam here was too weak. And then when I started to work with Fusion, then I designed this one in Fusion. So I created a simple model like this. And I went to the simulation section. And I could define fixed points here. And I could also say this beam is made out of steel. This plate here is aluminium. And then I could also add a load here of 40 Newton, because I thought 4 kilos, yeah, if I grab my small milling tool and push with 4 kilos, then I will break the milling tool. So then I can't add any higher force than that anyway. So how much will it flex here? I made this calculation, and I've scaled up the deformation here. But it's possible to simulate this, of course. Play. You can see what will happen. And I can see that the red section is 300ths of a millimeter. So when I load 4 kilos here, it goes out by 0.04 millimeter. So that's okay. That's not my problem. Good. So this is really, really nice with a simulation like this. I could open up. Let me see if internet is quick enough, but there is a sample section in the tree here. And for the simulation samples, there is a section for event simulation. And axe chop, that's really good for demonstration. So here we have an axe, and we have some wooden pieces put on some distance here. And then I can say I would like to look at the result, maybe result view. Come on. Result view. Doesn't want to work. No. That could be because I resetted my cache memory this morning. Sorry about that, but if you go home and load this file and just click on the solve button up here, you will see this axe going live, hitting this material here, and you will see that it breaks apart. You can also play around with the force that you add and see how much you have to reduce it to make the wooden piece to not to break. So that's really nice. And this event simulation has previously only from Autodesk, it has been possible in Inventor with Nastra and InCAD, and the price for it was quite high. So now it's included in Fusion. Yes?
But all the simulation is still running on your local machine. It's not running on a cloud server somewhere else.
When I run when I click the solve here, there's a box coming up, and for the event simulation, yeah, I can choose between on cloud or locally. But it's good to use on cloud because then you can continue to work in your laptop. If you do the solve in your client, then it will lock Fusion for a while. And also, when you're a hobbyist and using a free license, you will put in the queue for calculation in the cloud. That could be good to know as well. If you buy the software, you will have the high priority for calculation in the cloud. As a free user, hobbyist, you have the second level of access to cloud processing. But anyway, it's really fast in the cloud. Yeah.
Others and getting credits for is it to reduce? Is it so that you reduce it and like yourself? You exchange computer power with others, so you get credits and then you sell the credits.
Okay.
So, is it? I was reading from Autodesk homepage if it's.
I don't think it's included in Fusion now.
Okay.
No. Not at the moment. For the CAM part in Inventor, that is exactly the same as in Fusion 360. There's a possibility to use computers in your network to do the CAM calculation.
Just by credits right there. Is that what he was talking about? From the
Yeah, you pay with cloud credits, yes.
Okay, so that's not the same credit.
No, you are talking about that you get paid for.
You share your computer power,
Mm-hmm.
then you get your computer power back.
Yeah, exactly, precis. But the cloud credit here, that's you pay with cloud credits. So for one license, I think you get 100,000 cloud credits or something like that, and then you use that when you do cloud calculations. Yeah.
Is the simulation functionality in the free version of the free license, is that cut out from the full product, or is it the same functionality?
Yeah, I didn't mention that, but there is two versions of Fusion 360. One is called Fusion 360 Cloud, and the price for it is about 4,000 Swedish crowns. And the Ultimate is about 15,000 crowns a year. But the free license is the highest level of Fusion. So if you don't pay anything, you get the best. So that's good. It's good for everyone except the ones who should make money out of it. But okay. Good. I could also show you another model I played around with. It is just a design of a chair, like this. So it's just another model built up from components like this. But because of the sketches, you add values in the sketches and that will modify the design. You also have a choice to create variables. So I've created a variable for length, width and height of this chair. So at the moment it's 500 from here to there. And if I modify this parameter to be 700, it will recalculate everything because that parameter is used inside the sketches and it will push just everything. So if you use your imagination, you can build, like my CNC machine, I can put some parameters for the basic sketches and then I can just change the length of the milling machine and it could recalculate everything, the drawings, the cam calculation, just everything. So it could be a really, really powerful model if you would like to customize something. Or you can mess things up. That could be good to think about. So if I accept this and go to the cam side, so you can see this is the top, and here I created some toolpath for the top. But you can see this one doesn't match my new design, the new size I just created. And also the toolpath are red in this area. And that tells me they are not updated to the latest design. So now I just need to hit the generate toolpath button and it will recalculate all the toolpath at the same time. And now it's updated. I can select them and say I would like to post-process them. Yes, yes. Yes, and then I have the G-code to run directly in the CNC machine for a completely new size of this product. So that is excellent if you have a product that you would like to customize in size. Yep.
Can you make a preview of that?
Preview of?
The CNC machine when it works.
Yes, absolutely. I say absolutely, and I hope you're happy with what I will show you. So I do simulation and I can add material and then I can play the toolpath and you can see what will happen. But you will see the milling tool and the tool holder and the material. You will not see the actual milling machine. But for 3-axis or 3+2 axis machining, that's enough. But if you're running simultaneously 5-axis, you would like to have collision checking to just everything, but you can't do that. Then you should buy Power Mill from Autodesk instead. That is an excellent product for 5-axis machining. And you shouldn't have everything inside Fusion. Should be a possibility to sell something more. Good, let me stop this one like that. Just have to check the time. Yeah, good. I can show you some more what you can do in Fusion. I created this one. I also have the wooden piece on the table outside here. So this is just a sign for the Ferguson logo. I have an old Ferguson tractor, so it was very easy for me to select this logo. But what I did was to browse on the internet and I found a JPEG like this about the logo. So it's pixels. And it would be possible to load it inside Fusion as a canvas, as a background, and start to sketch using the spline functionality. Try to recreate this. It would work. It's time consuming, but I can do it in Fusion. But I can show you what you could do instead. If I just search for a software called ArtCam. ArtCam is also an Autodesk software. And it's not for free. But if you use it anyway, you can use it for 30 days. And when 30 days runs out, you have some functionality in the software for free forever. I wouldn't say it's a lot of things that is useful in the free version, but one thing that is really good, and that is for this logotype. So let me just drag and drop this JPEG into ArtCam, like this. And this is still just a JPEG. And it's about 255 colors. It's a grayscale. So I would like to use the bitmap functionality to reduce the number of colors. So I say color, reduce number, and I would like 3 colors instead. And on the bottom, I can say it's black and white and gray. So that's good. And if I go into the vector area, then I can say I would like to create a vector from a bitmap. Like that. I don't understand anything of this, so I just click Create Vectors. Just like in Fusion, try the default setting first of all. Oops, I clicked on it twice, so I will most likely have created a double set of vectors. And this right here, I can remove the JPEG. And this is now a vector made out of the JPEG. And by modifying the settings, I can make it smoother or sharper. And I export it as a DXF and just import it as a sketch inside Fusion. And that's exactly how I did to create this logotype here. So that could be a good combination. It's still kind of free because using the free part of ArtCam. But the best thing would be if it could be included in Fusion, of course, but this is a workaround. But quite often I use pictures or something to create the contour of it. So that's good. Good. I have tons of things more that I could show you, but after this session you can drop by and ask me if you like, or you can find me on internet and you can ask me. So is there any questions or comments? Yeah.
Sometimes I got from AutoCAD, file from AutoCAD, and can I open it in that Fusion360?
If you can open
it in from AutoCAD to
yes, yes.
360.
So you can import into this model. I can insert a DVD DXF if I like that. And I think it's also possible to upload DXF files or something like that. Yeah, DXF, DVG files as well. Yeah, but it will be a 2D drawing. Or if you export an STL file from AutoCAD, you can load it into Fusion as well. Yeah.
I got some stuff a while ago, and I had a problem opening it. So
okay.
AutoCAD.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I use other software.
Yeah, but you can, if you're struggling with it, you can send the support case to Autodesk, and you will get some answer there. Yeah.
I use Linux.
Okay.
Is there any support at all?
For Linux, yes, there's a lot of support, but not from Fusion. Sorry. No, not at the moment. I don't know if there is a plan to do it either. I don't think so. So, but I know a place where you can buy Windows. So, good.
Would you say Fusion is better at repairing meshes than Mesh Mixer?
No, Mesh Mixer is better.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, but this function I showed you to close the mesh,
Exactly.
that works really good in Fusion.
Because Mesh Mixer crashed on me. So
Okay.
I'm wondering if Fusion can save
Yeah,
time.
yeah. Try in Fusion and see what happens. And also, an STL file is not always an STL file. It depends where it comes from. If it's a triangle or a quad, or what kind of software that created the mesh could make things a little bit different. Yeah, yeah. Okay, that was good 2 weeks ago, but not today, because we did sell SketchUp as well, but we don't do that anymore. Sorry, it's not my decision. Okay, anything else? No? So thank you for, yeah?
Can you use the 3D mouse in the program?
Yes, yes, I have it on my table out there. And that is very good to use a 3D mouse. It makes life easier. Yeah. Good. So thank you very much for listening to me. I hope this was interesting. And if you have any comments, please come and talk to me. And go back home and download Fusion if you didn't do that already, and use it as much as possible. And if you would like to send me information when you work with it, feel free to email me. No problem at all. Okay. Thank you.